All righty. So, Mr. White, I do want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to pick your brain about kind of the negative connotations around social media and how they sort of define um, narratives around certain players and teams and stuff like that. So thank you for joining.
Oh, no problem.
All right. So my first question for you is what I guess when you get onto social media, right, and you get involved with, you know, fans who can be a little bit toxic, can be a little bit negative, what goes through your mind when you're thinking, like when you see this stuff and it makes you want to just respond in the way you do? Because you're always posting facts, you're always posting sort of, what one tweet that comes to mind of yours is that somebody had put out a thread about Jason Tatum and how he wasn't always drafted to a super team, and you retweeted it and said it's not that there's a reading issue with NBA Twitter, it's that he's not their guy on their team. So where does that kind of mentality come from?
Just watching it evolve. So that's kind of like why I put numbers and data points out there, because you're basically never going to change anybody's mind. If somebody likes steak, then no matter what you tell them, they're never going to go away from having that steak. It's a no-win situation. They love who they love, and if your person or somebody anybody other than their person is against their person, then they just defend everything upon all else. So um the main thing it just kind of got me was, it's like we're talking NBA players. There's like 450 with guaranteed contracts, and if you take the top 20%, we're talking like 90 players or whatever. um, they're all very good. So I mean, whether you like someone or you don't like someone, I can't get into. I, you can like someone without discounting what other people do, and that's what the app is turned into. It's, oh, Trey Young does this, Derek does this. Oh, well, I'm a Trey Young fan, so no matter what Derek's done, he's not better than Trey. Blah 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 blah. But then you're just ignoring what accomplishments Derek has, and vice versa. People who say,
Right.
"Oh, Derek have it over Trey." I mean, Trey's putting up numbers, and to some people, that's all that matters. I mean, you basically can see through their tweets the filter of who scores the most, who has the most assists, who has the most whatever, and that's the best person at that. So, but in the course and the game of things, there's a lot of people who are the best of the best, but at the end, they don't win. I mean, I mean, LeBron James is considered, this generation's goat. He's won title in the last, what, 10 something years. And people want to poo poo it and say it was in the bubble. They still won. But being the best player doesn't guarantee that his team is always in the finals. I mean, he did have that run when he was in the East, but lately the best players in the NBA don't all actually, get to the finals. I
Right.
mean, we got to the finals 2 years ago. Miami got to the finals last year. In the grand scheme of how NBA people look, neither one of those teams are considered great teams. I mean, if personally, I like the Celtics, but going against Golden State had won the championship. They still had their core, championship core. People look at you look at that. Last year, Denver broke through against Miami, so you had basically two unproven teams. So somebody had to win,
Right.
and, and Denver was definitely by far better than Miami.
No, that's for sure. And I completely agree with you. Like I think, people, like you said, they kind of ignore everything around it outside of certain numbers to kind of prop up their people. But now on the flip side of that, right, you have guys who will criticize their own team. Like, I'm not going to mention any names, but I have a tweet in front of me talking about back about a week before Christmas, Jaylen Brown was averaging, it was, I think, 7.2 potential assists per game. And he was finishing games with about 5 assists per game. And that was the best on the team at like for that stretch of games.
Mhm.
And there's people retweeting it, criticizing Jaylen Brown, saying that that's not good, it's underwhelming, and calling it bad basketball. And so I guess my next question for you is, when, how do you combat that, right? Like, what kind of narratives or what kind of facts do you have to present to turn it so that people aren't criticizing their own players for playing well? Or, I mean, I guess that's a relative term, right? Because what I think might be good versus what you
Mhm.
might think is be, or what you might consider good might be different. But, it's just, you see it a lot. Or even another one, someone's talking about how they were bothered that Jason and Jaylen didn't post a photo together during the All-Star break on their individual social medias.
Mhm.
So, and I've seen you, kind of clap back at people who tweet that kind of stuff as well, the more negative side compared to the comparisons. So how how is that something that we can kind of, as a community, combat it, like that type of negativity?
Well, I don't think you can ever really combat it because people are going to do things, like the old Dr. Phil thing. People do things because they get something out of it. And if being negative and being miserable, they get something out of it, because if they didn't, they wouldn't keep doing it. And the problem is when they do it, it's, there's multiple reasons. Now X, you get, if you get a certain number of engagements, you can make some money if you sign up or whatever. So there's money involved. Whenever money involved, then it shakes over the whole thing, because what I say may not be right, but it's making me money, so I'm gonna keep doing it. The other one is there's several people probably within the cell day one-on-one. It's like a teeter totter. If you praise one, then you have to go down. The other one goes down, and vice versa.
Right.
So I mean, the main thing to to it is just to bring information, because then that's for my sanity. I mean, I can't really go off on different things. I mean, there's probably some other things I could probably say that I don't, because of who I am and who I'm related to, and it's a public image. And sometimes that stuff, especially personally, it would, and when people, take shots at Derek or whatever for whatever reason, it kind of stings, and I have to like count to 10 and not lash back. So,
Right.
I mean, you can always block. So, I mean, I blocked like tons of people before, because like for the last year and a half, the hair thing, if I saw that, boom, you're gone. I don't
Right.
care whatever it is, because and then I kind of softened. I just muted them, because I came to the realization that the better he played, the more comments on his appearance and his hair came out. So they couldn't say anything about his game, so they wanted to
Right.
go to
Mhm.
something that they could attack, and other people would go, "Hey, that's right." And
Yeah,
there's a
exactly.
lot of followers out there who find the joke. Jaylen can't dribble with his left hand. Back when we had Marcus Smart, he was taking, crazy shots, or whatever. Oh, Joe Mazzulla doesn't do actually anything. I mean, I don't know anybody that is having a successful season not do anything. I mean, you're
Yeah.
just
Right.
Exactly.
saying, I wish I could be as bad as Joe Mazzulla in my life.
Yeah. Right. Like,
I was gonna say, I wish I had that negative of an impact.
Well,
Um,
welcome aboard.
yes, Ryan,
Yeah.
Mr. White, and Mr. White. This is Ryan.
It's so
She's my
nice to meet
co-host.
you.
Um, you were in the middle of answering a question, so I didn't want to interrupt when
Oh,
she joined. But
yeah,
uh,
we knew the the joggers were on the broadcast, so we appreciate.
yeah. So actually, kind of building off of that last answer you gave, and based off of who you are related to, what kind of advice do you give to Derek? Like, does he stay off of social media during the season as much as possible, or does he look at it? Do you give him kind of advice on how to navigate the negativity that is around?
He's not on it as much as I am, even if his wife or whatever. So I mean, he's aware of some of the things, but I mean, he doesn't go into it. So he doesn't. I mean, he kind of gets the Reader's Digest version. People don't
Right.
think you're a star. What are you doing with your hair, with a headband or not headband? So I just came to the conclusion that people don't, for some reason, and it's logical. Not everybody has to be liked or anything, but that just seems like those that have an axe to grind are very quick to hit send.
Right. No, and that's a valid point. I mean, you see it a lot. Like, for example, Patrick Beverly's always on social media. He's always fighting with this one, arguing with this one, and not taking a shot at him. I think, to each their own, right? I think obviously players are people too. They should be able to do whatever they want. I just, I just think it's interesting because a quote came out from him where he said he should have stayed off of social media when he played for the Lakers. He was saying that, that fan base was expecting him to score 30 every night, and it was draining. So, as somebody like yourself who takes it upon you kind of, for lack of a better term, you kind of don the mantle of Celtics Twitter and defending the Celtics, defending, their names, their stats, their way they're playing. And, a lot of people do look at you as a voice of reason, as a voice of positivity. And like another tweet that you put out was, you put out the win rate of the 77.7%, where we're still on pace of a 7-2 win rate after the 55 games. And not a lot of people really look into that when they're like they look at the short-term picture, right? Like, oh, we lost to the Timberwolves, we lost to the 76ers, right? Season's done, it's over. So from your experience, what kind of feedback do you get from fans typically when you put stuff out like that?
Usually it's very very good because one, it's like actual fact and data points, and it is what it is. You can't way out of it, because I used that the other day, where everybody wants it whatever it happened to be, whatever, the way that makes them feel good about it. I mean, and everybody does it. I mean, it's like, from a Celtics perspective, it's like we went down 0-3, then we tied it up at 3-3, and then Tatum got hurt, and the discourse is, Tatum's ankle. Well, that's part of the game. So I mean, there were a lot of injuries in there, and if they had been healthy, it might have been, but it wasn't. So you can't soften the blow by saying, well, it woulda, coulda, shoulda. I mean, that's basically NBA Twitter in a nutshell. Everybody likes to woulda, coulda, shoulda something out of nowhere. So, but basically at the end, when it's triple zeros, that's the score. Whatever
Right.
happened. You can't. Well, if we had so and so, and if this shot had gone in, well, then that would have been a different thing. But that's not what actually happened. So, if we can just deal with reality and then make assessments off of that, then we're good. So like I said, yeah, you put out that 777 thing. I mean, if you just keep winning it, you although with Celtic Twitter, if those two losses, it's like Armageddon. But if you win seven out of 9, you end up winning the championship because you're not going to lose 4. So
No, and that's a great point. And that's why like I try, and I mean you've commented on numerous of my posts where last season I've freaked out, and one thing that will always stick with me is I remember it was after a loss. I was having a really bad day, and um, I was just kind of emotional about a lot of things. It was in the playoffs, and you replied with "control what you can control," and that was all you said, and like that has stuck with me really ever since then. And I kind of realized that's been a sort of a mantra of yours, right? Like I remember you did the Beneath the Banners episode with Derek, and I remember that quote came up when you were talking with Mark D'Amico, and I believe Abby Chin was on that episode as well. Um, so I guess where did that come from, right? Like obviously that saying's been around forever, but when did you really start like pushing that? And was that something from when Derek was young, or was that something more recent?
that's more recent. I mean, when Derek was young, it was dare to be great, and then it kind of get control what you can control. I think it kind of started, um, when he was with the Spurs and he was playing in the G League and everything, and he was trying to find his footing. And the G League is that's a market. I mean, because everybody's trying to get paid. I mean, so actually playing basketball is not necessarily the number one thing, because everybody thinks I got to score 20, 30 points. And so they're every play they make is going to be something that they can put on a resume so that they can, get a contract. And
Right.
so he was like struggling at first in the G League, because I mean, he had a contract and they were just sending him down to the G League. So he had money, and the others were trying to get money. And so it was like, oh, I can't, oh, that, I'm not getting the ball, everybody's out for themselves. It's not really a team thing. But, so then, his mother came up and says to, basically control what you can control. If they're not passing you the ball, then you have to go get the ball. That means more rebounds, more steals, those kind of things, deflections. And then it slowly morphed over there where with his play style, they realized that they could go through him and they would still be better for it at the end. And several of them got, contracts and stuff after the fact, because it's not like he was going to go all guns and glory, but by himself and average 30, but he could score. But he also, like Amir Ibrahima is like a real good friend. There's like one game Amita had like 8 dunks on lobs because they just ran pick and roll over and over and over again. And so it's kind of control what you can control. So just because your number isn't called, you have to stay ready for when it is
Right.
called. So I mean, basically in the NBA, all the players want to play. Nobody wants to not play. I mean,
Right.
5 minutes, you want to be out there because you think they have confidence in their abilities that they're going to make the play that's going to, turn the game. So it's all about that. So once you understand, you can only do what you can do. So if you're put out there, perform. If not, you be a good teammate and cheer on your fellow players.
Right. And I think, from everything I've heard and read about, Derek, you, and even like this whole Celtics team, I feel like there's really been a lot of that, like control what you can control. They're always talking about sacrifice here, sacrifice this, sacrifice that. And I think it's been absolutely incredible just what we've seen from this team, where there is 6, 7 stars on this team that on a nightly basis could be the number one, number two option on any given team, right? And the list goes on and on, from Jason Tatum to Derek to Al to Kristaps, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just an incredible thing that we're seeing night in and night out with this team and the chemistry that they have, which, you know, obviously I don't want to speak to just, you know, necessarily Derek's perspective, but just in general, I guess, you know, and this can relate to Twitter, this can relate to really any form of social media. What um right, so like the troubles of navigating a negative atmosphere, right? Whether it is a negative locker room, whether it is, you know, you're scrolling through your timeline on Twitter or Facebook and you see a bunch of negative posts, just what is the mindset you kind of have to be in to not let that affect you?
I mean, you just have to basically look and identify what the goal is. And like you said, this team has identified from the beginning of the year, the goal is to win the 18th championship, Boston Celtic.
Mm-hmm.
How they get to that is going to be, if you keep doing the same things and you keep getting the same results, then you have to change them. Like you said, they have a lot of talented players on the team, and like you said, no, numerous number one options. But this year, they've gone to the point where organically their offense is going to be wherever the defense is weakest. That's where we're going to go. So,
Right.
And like I said, this is the part where he said, "Here come the distractions," because last year we were kind of in the same boat, and then all of a sudden, it was JB for All NBA, JT for MVP, and this year, with Jason came in and said, we can forget all about that. So
Right.
for 55 games, they've forgotten all about that.
Right.
So I'm going to be very interesting to see what the next 27 games look at, because if it changes, then the distraction got in. Because organically,
Mm-hmm.
the numbers are the numbers, and they keep winning. But if other things come into play where they want more than just the banner 18, then
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna have problems.
Right.
Because JT doesn't have to be better than Luka. JT's team is
Mm-hmm.
better.
Right.
So a lot of people out there, and maybe it's the gambling thing, but I would just like that Twitter application says, "Oh, Tatum needs to do more." Do you have it on JT being an MVP? Because your opinion is now slanted, and so we had a bunch of tweets and things out there where, oh my God, why isn't Tatum shooting in the first quarter? And then right then and there, I know that person has a ticket, because there's no reason for Jason. I mean, he even said it in the last, over this All-Star break. If you look historically, Jalen gets off to great first quarters.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can't have me getting off to the same first quarters. There's only one ball.
Right.
So he Jalen gets going. Jalen plays almost the first quarter, because that's his quarter. He gets his rest, comes out, and then comes back at the end of the first, and then does the second. Then he can be the focal point, and see. And those are kind of the things that everybody, the Perkinses of the world, and say, Joe doesn't know what he's doing. I mean, that's a concerted effort. You can see the rotations, and he even changes the rotations, because he'll do one set of rotations in the first half and then do the second half. So like in the first half, Derek and Jalen play most of the first quarter, and Drew and JT sit. But in the second half, Derek and JT are in there at the end of the the third, and then they can start the fourth and play pretty much the whole quarter. But so you just have to be able to massage how things work, and having Porzingis is like a godsend, because you're just going to get there's not thing that you can really do, because you can run him on pick and roll with any one of the other four guys on the floor, and usually they do it with Derek or Drew, and then you have a guard on them. So like tonight, Caruso is a great defender. Where is he? Because wherever he is, it's like like in football, you put a good corner on a wide receiver, he could be on one side of the field. Never have to be that side of the field.
Exactly.
So Chicago has to make a decision where they put Caruso. They put him on Brown. Okay, we can go different places. If they put him on Derek, then he's going to run into pick and rolls with Porzingis, and Porzingis is going to shoot over him. Or Tatum. So, you can do so many different things with this offense that, the narrative of all they do is chuck threes that's just lazy, because they've proven threes, but in the absence of whatever, I mean, I guess that's a compliment in a way, because if you're a good team, they look to, kind of knock you down, or trying to knock you down a peg. But if you're an up and coming with potential, then they can best case scenario you all the way to a title. It's like they're a scary team. They're not playing well, but the national people's like, oh, nobody wants to play Miami. It's like, that's fine. We get if the top six are healthy in a 7-game series with Miami, I'll take my chances. I don't care what voodoo Spo has.
I'm with you.
As long as they're healthy.
Right. I'm with you completely.
They don't have a match.
No,
there's endless possibilities. The rotations are endless. I mean, it's just awesome to see that they can cycle through so many different things, and they'll do anything to throw something at the wall and see what sticks. People tweet anything or say anything and hope that someone will pick up on it and agree that, oh yeah, that's the issue. Like, Jason's the issue today. He's the big problem. Like, if only we could get rid of Jason, or make him shoot better, or not chuck threes, or play selfishly or play unselfishly. And it's like, it's the main sign that I know that we're doing well, is because there's really nothing that anyone can hold on to for more than a quarter without having to change the narrative and be like, actually, maybe it's this problem. This is why we won't win it all. Like, number 7 is a joke. Like, all of that stuff. And I feel like it's a really good sign, actually, even though it can be so negative. None of it's very targeted. It's all vague. So
yeah, exactly. You've hit the nail on the head. I mean, I guess everybody has a job or whatever, and I guess it would be kind of boring. But I mean, there's the randomness of sports is you don't even know. You could be the best team in the league. That doesn't guarantee you that you're going to win. And anything can happen. So, kind of have to play it out.
Now, speaking of, you brought up Tatum's quote about JB, where he gets off to the hot starts in the first, and then Tatum kind of lets the game flow after that. I don't know if you saw this, but maybe 10 minutes before we hopped on here, they asked Jaylen Brown if he would do the dunk contest again, and he said, yeah. He was like, F it, I would do it again. But we saw, and I don't think he did a bad job, right? Like, obviously, there were some mistakes, right? It wasn't an overall great dunk contest, but we saw so many people just giving him so much crap after the dunk contest. And, it's like, well, we need superstars to do it, to revive it. But then you're sitting here just like demolishing them online.
Yeah, you
Do
couldn't
you think that
win.
holds any sort of weight for the players, or like do you think that's just nonsense? And like, what are your thoughts on that whole kind of situation?
I mean, I guess it really actually depends on each individual player.
Right.
They take whatever it is to heart, because like some people just they don't care. I mean, like Draymond Green could care less. Doesn't matter what you say or whatever. He's just going to do what he's going to do, and you can either live it or love it. Love it or hate it. But some other players are a little bit more sensitive to that, and they that would mean something to them. But basically, there's a segment of people out there that don't like a particular person, and if given any visual evidence to the contrary that that person isn't perfect, they will jump at like whatever. I mean, that's what I said. Jalen's in the box. I mean, he did a middle finger to the people with the left-handed glove, because it's like, yeah, I hear you, and I've gone left, and he's gone left, and those narratives never end. It's like in concrete. Somebody said it once, it was funny, someone picked it up, and now it's like gospel now. Nobody can say anything else, even though Jalen's gone numerous times to his left.
Mhm.
He's made passes. I mean, he's been more playmaking ish this year than he was last year.
Right.
But everybody
Yeah.
will all, oh, Jalen just doesn't play make or whatever, because that happened 2 or 3 years ago. There's a lot of things I probably did 2 or 3 years ago, but I don't do them now. So
Yep.
hold on to that.
Fair enough. Now, I don't want to obviously take up your whole day, so I want to just ask one last question, and then if Ryan has any questions, but the last thing for me is is there any advice you want to give to anybody who's looking to just get ahead in life, whether it's as a journalist, as they're trying to break into their own career field, just any advice to to give to anybody to avoid the negativity and help them with their mindsets?
I mean, just one, find something that you're passionate and that you've had success with. So, you know, you can be positive. You have the data points to back it up. I mean, if you more data, less opinion, because everybody has an opinion, and you're never gonna win that battle. So as long as you're pointing out things that are actually happen, final score, did this, did that. So I mean, yeah, you can be critical. You know, if Derek shoots 3 for 14, then that's not a good game. There's no sugarcoating it. The personal attacks, oh, he's crap and he's trash and all this other stuff. He had a 3 for 14 game. I mean, in the millions of games that have been played, I'm sure there's other people that have had 3 for 14 games. So
Right.
you kind of you just move on. So it's not all about you know it's not all about the looking. I think now everybody looks for a number that backs up whatever they're thinking,
Right.
and that, with the way that you can filter and slice and dice data, you can find something. I mean, I heard on one of the airwaves where it's like somebody's always doing something. It's like on February 22nd, somebody who was 6'3", born, a Scorpio, and this person has the most points ever in NBA history. Well, I mean, you slice and dice it enough, yeah, anything's possible.
Right.
So,
Exactly. Any stat is any stat. If you want to if you want to pull a random day and a random number of points, you can make any stat.
yeah, and you can always usually tell what they do to make who they're doing it for. So it's because it's always like, you know, because they even had that one with Derek. 50 games, 50 bucks, 123, whatever. Oh, not many people have done that. It's just like, yeah, if you do that, I mean, but there's so many different other things that you can do and deal with. That it just doesn't get over the point where you're doing it to make your player or yourself feel good.
Right. Ryan, do you have any questions for Mr. White? If her camera unfreezes.
I was wondering. I know. My audio's being crap. Can you hear me slightly?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So we're at least here, kind of. Okay. Well, I wanted to ask, just for me and the way that I think about all of it, it must be a family dynamic of sorts to be very kind of keep your head held high when it comes to all sorts of negativity and hearing negative things about yourself or about someone that you care about so much that you've raised. I mean, there's so much negativity, and we do see Draymond or we see KD, and they'll come on. Pat Bev's a great example with his podcast, but they'll come on and talk about everything. They see everything. They talk about everything. They want to, and I think that's a control thing. And I understand you want to be able to respond to what people have to say about you and give your side. But I think Derek, first of all, is wonderful in the way that he kind of just doesn't react. He doesn't really have anything to say about any of it. He lets everybody say whatever they're going to say. And then he lets his game speak for him. He shows up. If he has a 3 for 14 night, he had a 3 for 14 night. And then that's it. And then the next day, it could be great. And everyone will say wonderful things about him. And he'll still not even really respond because he seems to understand that there is that huge ebb and flow of emotions from people and how people feel, and they'll try to assign you certain things, or because he's not offering exactly what's on the top of his head all the time, people will want to know and fill in the blanks. And I think then seeing you and the way you handle especially really emotional losses, where it's easy to get in your head and be super upset and mad, and you even still manage to kind of just like water off a duck's back. You know what I mean? It is what it is. It's not helpful, but people are going to be people. And I guess it must be, and always has been, a family dynamic thing, because you can see it in him, but then I can see the grown-up version of that in you, which is, it is what it is. Everything will be okay. But it's not necessary to feed into all of it, to continue to throw gasoline on the flames of every single fire that comes up. It's like a Streisand effect. If you end up making it a bigger deal than it ever was, then everyone will talk about it forever. So I guess less of a question, but kind of just a confirmation that it must be a family dynamic sort of thing, a way that you all live your life outside of basketball. To be that way all the time and to hold that. I guess I just kind of was wondering, have you always tried to teach him to be like that? Or is it just a nature thing?
I mean, it's kind of matured over time, because I was probably like, the parents or whatever when kids are playing sports, whatever, but you kind of grow up and mature and realize what's kind of important in there. And the important thing is, does your child like doing what they're doing? Is it more for them than it is for you? I mean, I like basketball, but if they're going to play baseball, we doing baseball. So you just kind of, you let them be who they are, and you support them. So like people are like, oh, what do you tell him, before games and stuff, basically it's, play hard, dare to be great, and that I love him, and that's it. And then goes out and does what, you get 5 steals or whatever like that. No, it's just, he knows how to play. He knows what he's good at and what he brings to the table. And if he plays to his optimum, then it's going to be very good for the Celtics. And so far they've done that, and they've won, 41-10 when he plays.
Ain't that the truth? That's just, yeah, it's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, Mr. White. Well, thank you again so much for joining up with us and letting us take the time to pick your brain a little bit. I genuinely appreciate it. I know you're probably pretty busy, so it means a lot that you're willing to come on and answer some questions for us.
No.
I do have an off the record question, by the way. So Derek and I are very close in age. I think we're only a few months apart. Whose idea was it for him to dress up as Pedro from the Red Sox when he was younger?
It was his idea because he was
Was
taking
it?
Yes, he was. Well, he decided to do Pedro, yes, but I mean, because before when he went as Halloween, he went as Bill Buckner, so that was his.
That's
He does do Red Sox. Buckner one was a direct shot.
Yeah. No, that's
Really and he got to meet Pedro, so that was pretty cool.
Oh, that is really cool. That is really, really cool. Yeah, I remember seeing that when it came out. I think it was last year, and it just brought back so many funny memories from when, because like I said, him and I are very close in age, and I remember just watching that season unfold, and like the emotions was just absolutely incredible. And so when I saw that, I was like, man, Derek and I have something in common with that love for that team. So
he's a weird bird in that respect. So
hey, nothing wrong with that.
He knows big Red Sox fan, and so he'll play into that.
Right. Well, again, I want to say thank you one last time. And I know I said this to you before, but next time you go to Lord Hobo, I'm buying you a beer, because that's one of my favorite breweries. I used to go all the time a couple of summers ago. So
that was So but that's we found that one in, because there's a lot of like breweries and stuff out here in Colorado, and we found Lord Hobo is kind of like the one that's like, oh, that's not that far, we can go to that one. So that's fun. So like I follow both of you guys, so I'll we go back and forth and stuff. So
for sure.
your opinions and stuff is appreciated, and and so if you like want to go over the top, you by all means go over the top. But just know that until we get in June, nothing really matters.
Right. No, absolutely. I agree. Well, again, thank you for taking the time, and
No
I hope you
problem.
have a wonderful rest of your day. And once this is all up, I'll make sure I send everything over to you. The article that I'm writing should be up tomorrow morning, and then the video part will be probably up Sunday. So I'll send you both links.
Okay.
All right.
We get a lot of people, tuning in for it, so that's always good.
Yeah, we actually last week was our first episode of the podcast, and we got a good amount of feedback. Ironically, Drew Carter ended up tuning in like out of the blue, so that was pretty cool. So
Drew
it's just
one of us.
yeah, he really is. Him and I were going back, or not going back and forth, but me, him, and one other dude were kind of like trying to pick out nicknames for Xavier Tillman, and we're trying to get all like X-Men references. So We have some good stuff brewing, and I hope he references it tonight because that'd be pretty funny.
Yeah.
But
Good to
yeah,
see.
so I mean, it's been a journey, but Ryan and I got this started, and our first episode we talked about it, that her and I have had this idea for about a year now to start a show, and we finally got it underway, and we received great feedback.
I didn't say it's just, it's weird. I mean, Ryan's got her baking and a show. I mean, that's multitasking on their.
I know. I'm trying. I'm like one day on, one day off. It's cookies and then podcast.
Yeah.
1 p.m. today. And I was like, I don't think I've ever had anything to do that was this important at 1 p.m. But I like this arc in my life where big things are happening in the middle of the day. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So this was just great. I'm pumped.
You find that, that passion piece, and you go with it. So you got in the Celtics.
We're gonna have
Celtics
to
help. They bring everybody.
I remember when during the playoff run last year, you said Derek's favorite desserts are Oreos. So we're gonna have to get Ryan to send him some.
I know. I've run with the Oreo thing forever. I'll continue to run with the Oreo thing forever.
Yeah, if Derek ever wants some, you know where to direct him.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Well, again, thank you again. And like I said, I'll have everything sent over to you once it's all published and out there.
But looking forward to it. You guys have a good game. Good day. We got basketball today.
I know. I'm so excited.
excited.
I'm more excited about that than I think I've been all season.
The
last couple of days, I'm like, what do I do with my life? There's no basketball. I'm sitting here bored. So it's been rough, but I'm glad it's back. Actually, real quick before you go, what are your thoughts on the rest of the season? How do you think we're going to do? You think we're going to keep the same pace?
I mean, I don't know. It's like, because they're going to try to do different things to see what things that they can do. And, the problem is everybody's going to be, oh, why do you do that? Or why is that guy playing? Because, in April, May, and June, if you haven't experienced or used these rotations, you just can't put them in and expect it to, pop just like that. Right. So some of the rotations, I mean, as good as they are, no matter what the rotations are, it should work. But if it doesn't, the world will come crashing down as like it normally does. It takes a different thing. I mean, and how does Xavier Tillman assimilate or whatever? I mean, having been through this before, the Celtics were a good team. Then Derek came over, and it's like, how do you do it? How do you assimilate in and not screw anything up? And by not trying to screw something up, you could end up screwing something up. So he's just got to get in and, find his niche and his nickname, and then we'll all be good.
Yeah, exactly. And I think to that point, I mean, I've done it in basic jobs that I've had, right? It's you go in and you want to be so perfect that you end up messing everything up. It's just like, you just got to let it come naturally to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I said, when we first got on, the next 27 games is if they can continue to organically do things and nobody goes out of character. Because you can organically do things and, numbers can still go up because they're more efficient or whatever. But if they start getting to the point where it looks like they're hunting and they're not playing like they did before,
right?
Then like we're in trouble. And then the naysayers win because see, I told you they weren't going to be able to do everything. So avoid the distractions. Win 18.
Yeah, that's all it is. Well, that's everything for me. You have answered all of my questions, and I truly do appreciate you taking the time. And I know I've said that a few times already, but I really do mean it.
No problem. So, if you need me back or want to talk about things, you know where I am. So
Perfect. Yeah, we'd be more than happy to have you on again. Maybe right before the playoffs, we'll see how the team's looking, and maybe we'll do another episode and we can kind of break it down and see if they've matched the expectations that we have for them at this point. How's that?
No, exactly. I mean, this is like a 27 game, test run.
Right.
Yeah. Managed to still be the number one seed in the conference and in the league. They're like four games up in the loss column over Minnesota, and then they're like 5 over Cleveland. So
right.
And then there's going to be some tests in this 27. I mean, they've got a game here against the Nuggets. They got 2 with Phoenix. They got a Cleveland game. They got the Knicks on Saturday. I think they got 2 Milwaukee and 1 Philadelphia. I mean, that's 7 or 8 games right there. And then, play well in those games. I know if they lose one, everybody's go, oh, see, I told you. But it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things.
It doesn't. It's the main point of the game right now is getting to the playoffs healthy. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That is what it is. But
yeah, everybody's got, and then because I live here in, they're champion. They're what 25-8 or something when their 5 starters play or whatever, and the Celtics are 22-5. So it's like, okay, well, you just take your chances. I mean, if we have to go like NBA 2K, just turn injuries off. I want Embiid healthy. I want Randall. I want the Clippers not to have any problems. I want nobody to be injured.
Right.
Because I think we are better than everybody else if no one's injured. If you say, oh, if so-and-so can get injured, then, one of our guys can get injured. And I just rather nobody get injured, who's the best, and then play it from there.
Completely agree. I completely agree with you. Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. And like I said, I'm excited just that basketball's back.
Yes.
And that's one of my things is like, it's not just Celtics for me. Like I love basketball as a whole. I watch college ball. I watch every other team when I can. Mm-hmm. So, it's just good that basketball is back. I was going, like I said, a little stir crazy over All-Star weekend.
Yeah, but it was good. I mean, they most of them, they got, some rest and they're recharged and they're ready.
Right. No, and that's what we need. I saw the video yesterday of Derek and Peyton Pritchard hitting blindfolded free throws.
Mm-hmm.
My heart.
That was impressive. Like that was like, is that something he's practiced before?
Yeah, he does that. He does that periodically. He did it over at their practice facility a couple weeks ago. So,
oh wow.
So once he gets his, get your alignment and whatever, it's, it's muscle memory. So it's kind of
right.
It's your form
enough times.
Well, I think we are blessed to have the team that we have, and I've said it on Twitter to you before, and I'll say it again. I think just Celtics Nation in general, between being on the team and having you be a part of Celtics Twitter, like we're just so blessed to have you guys be part of Boston and Boston culture. And Derek, I've talked to my friends about this, and I think universally there's very few players that like nobody can dislike. Boban Marjanovic is one of them. Dirk Nowitzki is another. And I would honestly put Derek in that category. I've never met a single person who doesn't like Derek.
Yeah, so I know.
We have been blessed to have you guys in Boston.
Oh, we're glad.
So, but anyway, but yeah, so I'm going to end the recording. You're going to get a copy of the raw recording as well. because I have it so all three of us will get a copy of it. And
Okay.
then, like I said, once things are published and out, they'll be sent right to you.
Okay.
All right, my friend.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much again. And again, I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you enjoy the game.
Yep.
Tonight.
And we'll be tweeting about it on, before, during, and after.
I was gonna say I'm gonna be very, very aggressively annoying about this because this was awesome. So
Oh no, Pablo is